All right, David and Colton, what is next? That's what we're talking about today, right? So it's good to have you guys on Dad Edge, man. Welcome.
Hey, Larry, thanks so much for having us.
Great pleasure to be here.
It's a great pleasure to have you guys. David, you and I were jamming a little bit. Like Colton, my youngest is a Colton as well. So like when I saw the names pop up, I'm like, oh man, this is cool. Near and dear to my heart, man. He's got the name my boy has as well. So super cool. But where I'd like to start for you guys is Colton, how old are you?
I'm 31.
31. Okay. And so you've seen your dad for decades, right? Correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And
Writing and yep.
go ahead. Writing what?
Writing and being a professional development coach and
Yeah.
being a psychologist and helping different groups, determine what they want to do next in life.
So if we can, I'd really love to just put your dad on the spotlight here for a minute and put you on the spot. I would just love to know, like, what are one, two, or three things that, as you reflect on your childhood, growing up with your dad, and just some really beautiful key lessons that have really impacted you in your life and just how you operate.
Yeah, totally. I'll start with that one. So my dad grew up in the Midwest, and I think he got like pretty bored of that geography and really needed to get out west and to become an adventure person. So he did that on his own, and then once he had me, he had become this like really awesome like outdoorsman. And so he brought me and my sister and out into that world, right? It was like hiking, backpacking, fly fishing, skiing, snowboarding, all the above, golfing, getting out into nature. So he really, that's what fires him up. And he shared that with us. And that still to this day, like I'm a huge, just outdoors person, love to get out and do anything I can. So I really am thankful for that. And that's definitely one thing that sticks with me from my childhood.
Man, that is so cool. David, where did you grow up in the Midwest?
Akron, Ohio.
Oh, yeah, you were in the Midwest. Very cool. David, what I'd really like to do here too is I want to put you on the spot, and I kind of want to spotlight here, Colton. I know being a dad myself, you've been a dad now for a little bit longer than me. But one thing I've realized over the years, and my oldest being 17, is that I'm actually constantly learning from them and also constantly being inspired by them. Like, holy cow, like that's really amazing. That makes me want to do such and such or learn such and such or do such and such. But as you've seen Colton grow up over the past 31 years, I would just love to know, what are two or three things that you most appreciate about him and what he's taught you?
I can't believe you asked that question, because that is so right on. That sometimes when I'm talking to people, especially younger people, say, oh, should I have kids or not? The world really, it's got some challenges to it, and why should I have children? And I kind of give them a little bit of this selfish response, which is a lot of what you just said, which is both Chelsea and Colton have introduced me to things that I would not have been introduced to as a 71-year-old man. New ideas, whether it's something in technology, whether it's something in health. For example, I take athletic greens every morning, and I would have never done that. But Colton, for my birthday, said, Dad, here's the subscription. And I think it helps. So, and the other thing is there's, other than my wife, they're the two people that I know really completely love me. And if I had a question or a concern, they're going to provide me the support and the perspective that I can absolutely trust. I don't have to wonder if there's an agenda, in there that, oh, they're trying to, manipulate me or whatever. So one of the benefits of having kids is that it makes you a better person as you go along your path. So you've already experienced with 17 years, I've experienced 38 years of that. And that now they are huge in my life in making me that better person. So yeah, it's really tied to, kids are a positive thing to our lives. Yes.
I agree.
And he's very receptive. Like he now listens to lots of awesome music that I give him. Like he'll be like, oh, nice. Like, what's this new electronic track? Or like, what's this thing for my skiing playlist? Right. So, definitely have that good back and forth. And then he showed me, classic rock. So it's been a nice exchange.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So David, you're 71.
71. Yep.
I would not have guessed. Colton, you don't look 31, number one, but like when you said 71, I was like, yeah, be kidding me, man. Yeah. For those of you guys watching us on YouTube, like obviously, so if you're looking for the Fountain of Youth, it's in David's backyard, just so everybody knows. It's there in Colorado. You don't have to look any further for it.
It does help for sure. Yeah.
Man. Very cool stuff. So before we get into your book and your message and the intention behind the book and also this beautiful message of intention, I really want to know, what was the ideation of you guys coming together and saying, hey, let's do this project together? Like, I would really love to know from a conception standpoint, like how this whole thing even started for you guys. Super exciting, man.
Yeah, totally. I'm happy to take that one. So my dad has been a psychologist and professional development coach for about 30 years now. And so, he's been doing this work with people individually. And then he created the process that's in the book and published it about 7 years ago. And when he did that, then, I used the process, kind of helped him with it, more just, as a friend and as a, person to bounce ideas off of. And then it was about 2 years ago, we were fly fishing actually on the Dream Stream in Colorado. And we were chatting about the book and chatting about intentions. And I had, a little time from my professional, bandwidth open up. And we were like, it'd be really cool to, like, we'd always kind of thought about it, to like really dive in and create the book into a more applicable and easy to digest tool for people. And work on it together and bring kind of the shared perspective from, the 30-year-old perspective and the 7-year-old perspective, and meet in the middle to provide something that is, really concise and true to what we have done and how we use this process.
Very cool. Where's the Dream Stream, by the way?
Can we actually let him say that on the video?
Yeah, true. We got to keep it low key.
So it's like a secret, is what you're saying.
It's a secret section of the South Platte River, but yeah, it's pretty incredible. That obviously the name gives a little bit of credibility, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I'm just picturing you guys fishing and conceptualizing this beautiful idea. Father to son, shoulder to shoulder, as these guys are casting lines into this beautiful stream with the mountains around you. Like, that just seems very, very cool. I want to dive into the process of this, and I would love for you to just give us, I want to zoom out for just a minute and just give us more the 30,000 view of the process, but also intertwine it as you take us through the process of, since this is a dad show, right, of how men can be better fathers, better husbands, and just quite frankly, better men. So can you zoom out and just give us a sky view of what the process looks like?
Yeah, totally. I think Dad, you should take that one.
Okay. All right. Well, absolutely. I have, as a father, have used intention my whole life. And it's definitely been a key component of being the father that I've been. And overall, it's worked out pretty well. To very happy, fulfilling kids that are children, now grown adults that are happy and fulfilled. So intention has been something that's been really important. And I would start with that on the over of the sky view of this process is kind of number one. I have used it now for probably solid 45 years of my life. And Colton has now used it for, probably a solid 10 or so years of his life. So we come as authors, creators of this book, having really done this stuff. And I have done the process for a long time. So I think that's important, number one. The next thing is, and Colton kind of alluded to it, that I've been doing this for 30 years. So not only have I been in the field working with organizations and helping them, mostly leadership teams, to create their organizational vision, but then working with individuals either in a one-on-one, in a coaching or counseling situation. So I have a lot of practical experience with working with people and helping them develop intentions they can use in their life. And then I just love doing research and writing. And, after I wrote, initially started writing like my dissertation and saw how interesting that process is to just delve in and you know, find sources from, you know, across the span the lifetime. So I do have done a lot of research and writing, and all of that is part of the book. So this book is not just what we've made up, or which is a good thing too, but also it's that research-based approach to what's next. And then I think thirdly is that I have over the years, you know, starting with people like Zig Ziglar and Napoleon Hill and a guy who's still around, Tony Robbins, you know, I have studied and done intentional processes. And so I think we have taken the best of all of these years and years of that being developed to put that in the book as well.
You know, I'm so curious. What do you think the gap is with intention and action? So, I'll give you an example of, we were just talking about this. We, as in, I was on a podcast yesterday, and the host and I were talking about this. Is that, so like, for instance, let's just talk about a question that I think is so common for all of us as human beings, not just husbands and fathers and men, but just human beings. You see someone in your family, and the first question you ask them is, how was your day? Which is a really crappy question, in my personal opinion, because it really is a default question that doesn't require a whole lot of thought. And the person who's answering it doesn't require a whole lot of thought. It's usually good, fine, busy, crazy, boring, right? It's usually the one word answers that we hear. But what I will tell you is that the intention behind that question is beautiful, right? Because as fathers, when my kid gets in the car and I pick him up from school, how was your day? Is that comes out of genuine curiosity. And I just really want to know, like, hey man, like, download your whole day with me. Like, I really, like, let me into your world, right? Take me along for the ride of what happened to you from the time I saw you this morning until now. But what happens is the intention's good, but the actual action of that question, it quite frankly isn't the best question. So I think there's a huge gap between intention and then the action that we take to, I guess, execute that intention. But I would love your perspective on that.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. You know, it's coming from a genuine place of interest, but it's just poised and like so duplicative, I think, every day to ask that question. So like, just for me thinking about it, like I'm going to try and catch myself, right? And not ask how was your day, but like, what did you get out of today? Or like, what was the, you know, most meaningful part of your day? I think that could up level it so much.
Yeah.
And, you know, for the thing that we have identified and talk about in the book about how we get, you know, off the path of setting intention and getting what we want, find that there's kind of like several distractions, and the world is like extremely distractive. It's never been so distracting. And there's kind of three things that we outline. It's that, you know, we often don't know what it is that we really want. And that's based in the fact that we haven't really checked in on what it is in a very long time. And also it can feel like sometimes you get distracted by, you have so many different things that you want to do and they can feel conflicting. So it's important to like really get to the essence of what it is that you actually want. Yeah, so those are two definite ways that I find that, you know, it's tough to stay on the path, but then, you know, checking in on a process like this really helps to get refocused.
David, how proud of you are you right now hearing this young man talk? Like, I'm sorry, but I'm just like blown away that you're 31 years old and like, this is your mentality, man. Like, it is incredible. But David, I would just love your opinion real quick.
Yeah. And Colton is similar to his sister. I can sit there and be, you know, if you want to call it blown away, that they are just so solid in who they are, and, you know, genuinely, and they're genuine, authentic. And yeah, it's wonderful to be part of that journey for sure.
Yeah, man, that's Colton, have you ever been told that you're an old soul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Which is a huge compliment. I always think it's so cool that, you know, somebody younger is just, they come across as so much wiser beyond their years, which is super cool. Let's talk about distraction a little bit. I think we now live in a world where we've never been so distracted and there's tons of different things just vying for our attention, and that actually disrupt our intention. But I would love for you guys just to share your viewpoint on the distracted world that we live in, and you guys writing this book and having this a process in place to help us maybe disengage from some of those distractions.
Yeah, Dad, you want to go ahead on that one?
Yeah, I think it's pretty. Actually, I want to go back to something that you said, Larry. You were talking about what asking people or asking your children, how their day was. And long ago, I kind of changed that verbiage to, hey, tell me something interesting or surprising that has happened to you today. And I do that with almost everybody, all my friends. And interestingly enough, I mean, in a way, it's a pretty challenging, go deep question right off the bat, but I don't think I ever get much kickback. People dive into it and they'll go, I hadn't thought about that. Or, yeah, this happened. So I'm totally on board with you, to just jump right in with people, giving them a chance to really kind of reflect on those key things that are happening around them. So to answer that question, Colton's kind of already spoken to the fact that I think first of all, for most people, they have a lot of desires, and I have desires. People have desires. The kind of the tipping point for people, and really what I'm passionate about, and Colton is passionate about, and why we are spent so much time fine tuning this book, is we want to help people move from just having a desire into actually committing to an intention. And that's the key, so for example, someone could say, I want to live in a warmer place, and I want to have it maybe, sunnier, and I'd like a better job. Okay, those are all desires. But once they make that commitment and say, okay, I'm going to move to Colorado by the end of the year, and I'm going to have a job in elder care that supports my lifestyle. Now you've made a commitment, but I'm sure you could feel the difference. It's like, holy shit. When I talk to my friends and tell them I'm doing that, they're going to go, well, shoot, how are you going to make that happen? You live in Akron, Ohio. How are you going to, get all your stuff out there? And how are you going to find that job? So that's what we hope that we help people connect to who they've been that has those resources. And I can tell you just a quick story about that. I was playing golf. Okay, I was playing golf the other day with a friend of mine. My wife and I play golf with other couples, and as in golf, what happens is, you're walking down the fairway to your balls, and you start chatting. And I asked my friend this question. I said, so on a scale of 1 to 100, 100 meaning that in your whole life, all the intentions, big ones you've created, relationship, where you want to live, that you were successful, and a 0 meaning not successful at all, and 50% is somewhere in between. Where are you on that scale? And she thought for a minute. She goes, I think I have really been successful with my big intentions 85% of the time. And I was almost kind of blown away. I thought, wow, that's really cool. And so then in golf, what happens is at some point your balls are in different spots. You go to them and you play your shots, and then you show back up again at the tee box. So I get to the tee box, and she almost is running up to me at the tee box and says, David, I can't believe this, but as soon as you asked me that question, my mind started reflecting on all these intentions that I have had and created. And then she even told me one. It was like, yes, I said this, and it almost happened exactly. And now, because I've been reminded of how good I am at this, I'm going to start doing it more. And so that's to that point. I think that a lot of people just have forgotten about it, and they just need a good reminder. And hopefully, and I do believe, your podcast is another way to remind people of that.
Well, thank you very much. I think part of intention, I would love to get your opinion on this. One of, I think, the missing gaps and missing pieces, and I think one of the reasons I continue to do this podcast, and probably some of the reason you wrote your book, is to to bridge that gap between intention and action, to give people more actionable steps, to be able to do something. Like, so it's like, okay, like I want to better connect with my kids. That's like B, right? But I'm sitting here at A, and I have some default things that I was either raised to do, or I've been trained to do, or I've done these things up until now. And perhaps the gap is those things may or may not be effective. So it's really trying to find what are the most effective things that I can do that actually that back up that beautiful intention that I have. But I would really love for you guys to talk a little bit more about maybe some processes in your book that allow that action to back up that intention.
Totally. Yeah, that's the challenge, and that's the goal with our book and process. Yeah, so the process itself is 3 steps. First, you ask yourself 22 questions that we lay out in the book, and you actually fill it out in the book itself. Or if you're like looking at the Kindle, you can fill it out in a notebook alongside of it. And then you go back and you look through those questions, you identify themes that are consistently recurring through your answers. And then you pick one area in your life that you would like to make an action on in the next 30 to 60 days. And then there's a action plan for the step 3 to integrate it into your life. And specifically, the way that this works and the way that it was designed was in the appreciative inquiry process.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yes, appreciative inquiry.
Keep going.
Heck yeah. So appreciative inquiry, right, is an asset-based model as opposed to a deficit-based model. And so the key that we found in order to actually achieve the things that you want and create success in what you're going to look to do is to look back at your past and look at the things you've done successfully, because those are going to automatically tee you up to route you towards things you can actually do. So that's kind of the base core of it. And it's so magical when you give yourself credit for all the things you've achieved, and you think back on the successes that you've had and how to then mold those into the future you want to create. So for like a example of the taking it and using it, if you like look back and you find that you've been successful at certain things, then what it does is it makes you identify that your life's like to get to your life's purpose, basically. Like that's what a lot of these kind of things are, is actually that you've been living your life's purpose. Yeah. And there's been so many steps along the way that you had these successes, and then that just automatically kind of empowers you to take on this next step that can feel kind of scary. I think that's like the biggest part of doing lots of self-help processes. It feels really overwhelming. But if you start from the appreciative inquiry model, you feel so confident because you already are using the successes that you've had.
Oh man, I knew I loved you guys. That's how we run our entire mastermind, is through exchange, through appreciative inquiry. Me and actually, so I have 2 partners within Dad Edge for our business mastermind. I've been working with those guys for 5 years, and they're master faculty certified in appreciative inquiry. And I have, I'm certified in it as well. I'm not certified to teach it, but certified to facilitate through it. We actually run our live event, our Dad Edge Summit, all through that appreciative inquiry lens of, cool. Bringing the best crowdsourced wisdom to life, the best demonstrated practices, the best experiences, so we can all share in the wisdom. Were you guys, obviously you guys were probably trained in this as well?
Yeah.
I picked up on this, I don't know, like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And started using it. And I probably Peter Block, Community to the Sense of Belonging. I don't know if you're familiar with that book, but that really introduced me to that concept in communities. And I facilitated meetings of, up to 120 people, where that's where the meeting started. Let's talk about the topic and what are all the things we're doing right. And boy, I mean, you almost had to contain the energy. It was so, it's just so robust. Because most people come to a problem with, okay, what do we have to fix? And how are we going to make this work? And we don't have any ideas yet. So, but you start there and wow, the energy is incredible. And I think to your original question that I think Colton did a beautiful job filling out is, whenever there's a question of how you want to do more of something in your life, being a father, being a husband, go back to that core intention and think about it, and hopefully, very importantly, always try to build your intentions out of that appreciative inquiry, so that when you touch that, use that intention as a touchstone for the real life issues, you've already know that I'm good at that. I know I've been really good. I can't think of maybe all the reasons why I have right in this moment, because right now I'm just trying to figure out how to be a better dad because my kid just was in a car accident and ran into somebody, and or the principal just called me. But if I touch that touchstone, that I know that I can be a compassionate, supportive father, and that's my intention, and I know it's grounded in the person that I am, then the actions are going to flow out of it.
Yeah. Gosh, that is so true. You said it beautifully, and it sounds like your book is really probably based on a lot of these philosophies, which, by the way, gents, I'm just going to let you know, go pick up their book. Go do it. Go grab a copy of this book. Most books, most messages, most even corporate meetings, let's focus on what's wrong and broken, which doesn't usually energize a meeting very well, right? It's exactly what you said. Let's focus on what's wrong and broken versus what was the best of what was, what is the best of what is, and what is the best of what could be. Like that's what, AI really is, right? Appreciative inquiry is all about. And, that's the way, for instance, like Dad Edge. I mean, I got certified in this in 2019, and we run not only our mastermind sessions like this, but we run our team coaches. We run them through those meetings. We run our executive team meetings that way. We even run our board meetings that way. So like all through that AI lens, which is a beautiful thing to have. One quick example that I would love to share is that, so like, let's just take marriage. Colton, you're single?
Yeah. Or I have a girlfriend.
Girl. Okay. How long you guys been together?
Like 6 months.
6 months. Okay. So I'll share, this is great actually. So, and how long have you been married, David?
I'll be 44 years.
Oh my gosh. The fountain of youth is just flowing right through your backyard, my friend. I've been married for 20 years. So it's like literally we're
very
all
nice.
Yeah. And that's why we're going to Hawaii. So, but,
cool.
Nice.
But, let's kind of like run this through the lens of, 40 plus years, 20 years and 6 months. Right. Yeah. So, Colton, I love the fact that it's only 6 months. I was actually kind of hoping, I was like, man, I hope he says a year or less. And because you're like in that honeymoon phase, right? It's like, oh, it's so exciting. Just get to know each other. And then we have me and your dad kind of on the other spectrum. It's like we've been married now double-digit years, right? And a couple decades for me, 4 decades for him. But here's the interesting thing. I can truly say, and I get the feeling from your dad as well, is that, man, my wife and I, we've never been so in love as what we are right now. And that's because we constantly come to every conversation with curiosity and appreciation, which is another AI skill, right? But what a lot of guys will do, and I think that this is a great message for this podcast and for you guys, is many men will come to us in our mastermind and they're like, hey, I really want to reconnect with my wife. And they'll focus on everything that's wrong and broken. We're not really talking right now. We're operating as roommates. We're having conversations just around parenting and schedules and chores and all the logistical things. And we're not really like connected. And that is the focus. And the interesting thing is, man, it's so funny. And funny, not funny, but it's also so simple. I'll be facilitating a coaching call and I'll say, and the person will speak up and I'll say, hey, I want you to take me back to your first date with your wife. And I want you to take me back to, where did you go? What was the conversation like and what'd you talk about? And you'll immediately be like, oh man, we were in college. And suddenly it goes from like, what's wrong and broken to, oh man, like we were in college. I took her to Applebee's, man. Like they'll get so excited. I took her to Applebee's, man. Because back then you take a girl to Applebee's, like that's fancy meal. Like she was wearing this kick-ass white t-shirt with these cool jeans and her hair was like perfect. That's when Friends was like super popular. So her hair was like Jennifer Aniston's. It was all straight. And I just couldn't wait to talk to her about her childhood and the things that she did in high school and the sports she played and why she was studying nursing and like what does she want to do when she gets out of college, how many kids and like and you just see the guy come to life. And I'll just sit there and I'll smile and be like, yeah, those are all generative questions. Right? And then I'll be like, okay, when was the last time you took your wife out and just renewed with some beautiful questions like that maybe you haven't asked for quite some time, or you maybe have never asked her, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh shit. Yeah. It's like, dude, you don't have to reinvent anything. All you have to do is like literally go back to when you were successful, because that was success. You just, the gap is, for that particular situation, is usually you have to just be a little bit more creative with those questions, and also to know that those questions aren't like necessarily rapid fire like they probably were on that first date, but they are beautiful, incredible conversation starters, right? So like, I just took my wife out on a date. This was like probably a month and a half ago. And I asked her a question I didn't know the answer to. I said, hey, if you and I were out to dinner, just like we are today, and we were celebrating something incredible in 5 years from today, and we were celebrating something incredible that you were so excited about, that you were so passionate about, that it was more of a celebration dinner versus just a regular dinner, what would you be telling me that has happened that hasn't happened yet? I had no idea what she was going to say. That turned into an hour and 25-minute conversation where we then bought a domain for a business that she wanted to create for interior design. And
nicely done.
Yeah, well, the intention was like, I just want to get to know her and create some intimacy and connection. And it turned into that third element, which is, what is the best of what could be, right? And but I think for most people, going back to your book, going back to your message, we're probably focusing a lot on the wrong things, right? The things that are wrong and broken versus the things that we could co-create. But here's where I think another gap is. Many men listening to this podcast and your message is like, I still don't know exactly how to create that or what that even really looks like. But can you give some more clarity around that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, amazing, process. And I definitely want to try that out with some of my friends that are maybe feeling like their connection is not, going so well. One approach that is definitely from my dad's, example is to do, regular check-ins. And I'm already starting to do that with my partner. And the best question that we find to kind of kick that off is, what does our connection mean to you? And then to listen to each other, explain that, and that, gets into all the things that you're kind of talking about and creating space and time for that. And then another just like aspect of that I think is really valuable, and that, it's in the question can be so, important for intimacy, is that I find a good question is better than a good answer. Pretty much every time, always in life.
Yeah.
And something that I try and live by, because by answering, if someone says something, and instead of just giving an answer, you come back to them with a thoughtful question, it not only shows that you understand them completely, but then it builds on the conversation moving forward as well. So I just really, I totally agree and appreciate that line of thinking. Specifically, yeah, go ahead.
No, you were going to say, I was going to ask you first something specific, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that's it.
Yeah. So I'd love to actually pose this question for both of you guys to put it through your lens of, when it comes to, a quote that we've said in the past is, quality of our life depends on the quality of the questions we ask ourselves and the people that are around us. Right. And I think a lot of us, Colton, I would love for you to maybe give us, some ways we can reframe maybe our own inner dialogue as it relates to, because I think a lot of us tend to quietly beat ourselves up, with that inner chatter, the inner bully, right? And I think we can interrupt that pattern by maybe inserting better questions. And then, David, maybe from a fatherly standpoint, what do better questions, what does that do to a relationship between a father and a son or daughter, and a husband and a wife?
Yeah, totally. So generally, I think, the process itself is based in 21 questions, right? So diving deep and asking yourself these things is a key to the way that this works. And then basically what it does is it then, tees you up specifically to think about, the one area of your life that you want to make a change into, and then ask the really like poignant questions around that. Because I think, we have these kind of concepts of what we want and how to get there, but we don't ever actually like drill into the specifics of, you know, how the things that we've done that are similar in the past, and then how we can get there specifically. So like, yeah, the biggest kind of thing that I find that we need to do, myself included, is always to get to the essence of what it is that we really want, instead of kind of just like the general concept of what it is. My dad kind of gave an example of, you know, living in a beach and wanting a new job. I like another example that is like, let's say you have an intention to buy a new sports car, but also to work less. And so at first, those could seem like completely impossible things to achieve without somehow breaking the laws of physics. But if you get to the essence of what it is that you want, which is probably just like more flexibility and opportunity to get out and maybe adventure in a cool vehicle, then you find that maybe it's not that you need to buy a new sports car or that you need to quit your job. It's that you just need to communicate with your work that you would like some flexibility to work from outside the office, and that you potentially don't need to buy a new sports car, but you could just rent one or borrow one for the long weekend. And then you actually, by coring into the essence that you want to adventure and have more flexibility, you actually can attain the thing that actually is that you really want, because it's the essence. And you find yourself driving down the Pacific Coast Highway with the wind in your hair. And, you know, maybe you have to take a quick call on the Pacific Coast Highway, but I think you get the point. And then you're actually, you know, achieving the things that you want.
I just want to hang out with you for like a weekend, man.
Totally.
Like just to tap into this beautiful knowledge of different, because as you're like going through all of that stuff, what really emerges for me is the thing that I think that I want, it might not be the thing that I truly want. Right.
Exactly.
It's literally interrupting that pattern and asking myself better questions of what would be the best of, right, or the best that could be, versus like, oh, it's got to look like this, period.
Mm-hmm.
Right. David,
Yeah.
how about for you, from a lens from a father raising a son and a daughter, and then from the lens of a husband?
Yeah. And I mean, Larry, you just absolutely continually tee up, you know, one of that key concepts in the book, which is we spent a lot of time curating those questions so that people really can get grounded in that person, the positive person that they are. And so that is a starting point for almost all of this. And I did this process pretty early. I have a whole story in the book about having real estate brokerage, and it, probably about 38, starting to not feeling like that's what I should be doing, and kind of, had a coach called Jeremiah Johnson. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, but it's one of my favorite movies about a guy who prevails in the, in the outdoors, and Robert Redford is Jeremiah Johnson. So you got a lot of pretty positive things with that. But he really, set me on that course of sorting through my life at that point. And so I became very intentional about parenting and my relationship with my wife and all that at that point. But I am going to throw one other thing in here, which I think has been absolutely, critical to being a good parent and a husband, has been that I did personal therapy. And, having gone through a master's degree in counseling, and, we'd have to do some of our own therapy during that time. I remember, being in a class on developmental psychology and watching all these other people just, really going deep and dark and, into their past. And I'm sitting there going, oh, I don't think I had that bad of a childhood, for example. And it wasn't until I actually found the most, really, really highly qualified, incredibly intuitive psychiatrist, who then sat down with me and let me start to tell my story, which is, again, looking at the questions of my life, and uncovered that, no, I did not have such a great childhood upbringing. And after I actually fully came to the truth of that, his kind of little byline was, the truth will set you free. And once I asked all those questions about who I had been and my experience, I became a better father, because I then knew what it meant to be compassionate and empathetic. I didn't even know what that meant, really, until I realized I hadn't experienced it. So once I realized that, then I could actually embrace the concept of empathy, compassion. So I would just add that as another questioning process for dads, And it is, if my wife was right here and I'd say, what's one of the key things that has improved our marriage? She would say, seeing Barry. So.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. What a beautiful example. And also a beautiful example of saying like, hey, it's okay not to be the expert. It's okay not to have all the answers, like, but I'm going to go find them out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And go do my own work, get my own therapy. And
Mm-hmm.
I think whether it be coaching or whether it be counseling, therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, masterminding, group coaching, or whatever, I know for a long time there was a stigma, with people who wanted therapy. Right. I remember growing up, and it's like if your parents were in therapy, this is dating myself a little bit. Oh my gosh, like you're just a broken home, right? Now it's more like, oh, okay, you're in. It's like almost like almost everybody's in it, right? But like the coaching aspect, I still think to some people seems rather new, like as far as like the acceptance of it. And I think it's a beautiful thing, right? Because coaching is really like what is the best of what could be, and I think therapy seems to be more like let's unpack your past and really understand that, and how do we evolve from here. But here's the funny thing: people who are in business and they have a business coach, they're like, oh wow, dude, you've made it, right? Or here's the other one too, which I think is fascinating. So how I paid my way through college was I was a personal trainer. And like if you had a personal trainer, and still to this day, if you're like, yeah, I have to go meet with my trainer on Friday. It's like, whoa, dude, you have a trainer? Like you have really made it, right? But but people, I think over time, people will really evolve into, group coaching is like, dude, heck yeah, man, that's awesome. I'd love for you guys to use me as a guinea pig just to show some of the process in your book. Are you guys up for that? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Okay, cool. All right. So, my wife and I, this is fresh off the books. My wife and I were talking about this topic that I'm gonna ask you guys about. And I would love for the audience just to get a taste of like, hey, if I go pick up this book, or if I work with David, or I work with Colton, this is probably a prime example of maybe the outputs I'm gonna get. So my wife and I were sitting outside and we were talking. So we have the littles, we call them the littles, which is my two little boys, is Colton and Lawson, 9 and 7. And the littles just want all of our attention and all of our time constantly, which is a great problem to have. Sometimes it's a disruption, because it's like, hey, I want to hang out with mom for a little bit, right? Just for a little bit. And then sometimes it's like, man, this is super cool. And now we also have the bigs. So Ethan and Mason, who are 17 and 15. Well, their last day of school was yesterday as we're recording this. And what we've noticed already is we're like, wow, we might not see Ethan and Mason for the majority of the summer because, they both have jobs now. One's getting ready for football, one's getting ready for band, and friends are a huge attraction, right? And my wife and I sat back last night. We thought to ourselves, we're like, number one, we're super proud and appreciative that we've actually have gotten them this long, because they truly, up until I would say maybe this summer, we're starting to finally get the feeling that friends are more important, because they actually really love being at home, like they're homebodies, which is super cool. But we're seeing a huge attraction to friend time. And so my wife and I were like, man, like this kind of snuck up on us a little bit. Like this might be the summer where it's the four of us the majority of the time. It's just me, you, and the littles. So we were really, we're now hit with this crossing the road of like, wait a second, like besides Hawaii, because we're going there to celebrate 20 years and we're doing that as a whole family. But I'm like, how do we create more time and make it attractive, to the bigs, to where we can spend more time with them? And maybe it's not a battle for their attention. It's not a battle for like, well, I guess I'll hang out with you, but I'd rather not be here and I'd rather be with my friends. So that's like the next 3 months that we're looking at. It's like, how do we optimize that connection despite, that we know that they're growing up?
Totally. Dad, you want to go for it?
Sure. That is a great story. I can't remember that, that day for sure, those times, but it happens, pretty early on, that's going to happen. This is what I would ask you, just kind of you want to formulate an intention, right?
Yeah,
around this.
I do.
Okay. So what I would start with is, what is the relationship that you want to have with the bigs over the next 3 months?
So what a great, this is, man, I love this because like I hadn't kicked that can that far down the road yet. I haven't
Right.
well, okay, like they're starting school next year. What am I celebrating?
Right. Because just think about it. What you're starting with is you have a problem.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you actually did a great job of identifying the problem with the bigs and the littles. But so now it's just a simple thing. What is the relationship? You're going to create the positive intention with the bigs in over the next 3 months.
See, it's so funny, man. Even though I'm like trained in this, when you're fresh off the conversation with your wife of identifying the problem, it's still, even though I know better, it's all about the problem. But even you, David, just posing that question to me, my brain is automatically already going to like, what could this look like 3 months from now? Like what beautiful things could happen and how do I make those things happen? So if I'm telling
And you're
you
probably sweating a little bit in your armpits while you're
a little
thinking.
bit, yeah, right. So I just want to make sure I'm following the process and not jumping ahead. So as far as like the answer to this question, like what do I really want? Is that the question?
Yeah. What is the relationship? So you're imagining the relationship that you want to have over the next 3 months. I mean, you can go and say by the 3 months, it's there, but try to imagine it the next 3 months, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, and then maybe 3 months from now. What are the elements? What are the positive aspects of that relationship with the bigs now for the next 3 months that you personally want to have? And later you can bring your wife into it. But for right now, we'll keep it simple. It's just for you.
Okay. So beautiful question. Definitely on the spot, but I'll answer it. So, you know, I really want, what I would truly love is for me, Jessica, and the bigs. Yeah, I mean the whole family as well, but mostly for the bigs, is for them to look back on this summer and say the time that we did spend together was insanely meaningful, and I'll remember it for years. I'll remember it when I have kids. That's the connection I want this summer.
Mm-hmm. And so where would you say that you've had those kind of key moments in the past that you can then reflect on and try and recreate?
So I will I'll go to one extreme, which is like go big, right? And then I'll bring it back to like one of the smallest like everyday things that I think a lot of us could overlook. So, we're doing some travel this summer, taking the boys to Hawaii. None of us have ever been there. We're doing that to celebrate our 20-year anniversary. We have all kinds of like super amazing adventures planned out that none of us have ever done, right? And so that I think that will be memorable. But also, it's the adventure aspect, and I think it's also like we have concerts that we're going to this summer as well. Like we're a big music family. We love going to concerts, and when we go to concerts, we try to get like in the front row because we don't do it often. We do it like once or twice a year. So when we do it, we're like, hey, we're gonna do it right.
Sweet.
So things like that I think are really meaningful. So trips and adventures. But I also think as I think about those trips and adventures, it's not a box check. And I'm actually articulating this out loud for the first time. It's like, what can I also do? Like, so for instance, Colton, we're doing that one tour where you have to wake up at like 1:30 in the morning and you climbed or you get to the top of that volcano and watch the sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Totally.
even,
I just went to it yesterday.
did you really?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like another planet. It's
Oh
awesome.
my God.
On Maui? Or wait, or a Big
Yeah.
Island?
On Maui.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's mind blowing.
So like literally as I'm having this conversation, I didn't even think of this idea. It's like, we're doing that. We've already booked it. Like, how could I make that like one of the most epic high point moments of their entire life?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and how can we capture that as a family? So I don't know the answer to that yet, but that's where my mind is going, which is really cool as you guys are taking me through this. I would think also, let's take it back to the other just lowest common denominators, like just daily interactions. One of my most favorite pastimes and theirs is us working out together. And perhaps what would it look like is if maybe the limited time that I have with them in the gym, because now they're starting to work out with their friends, but they still want to work out with dad every now and again. Like, how can I make that experience something that's team, something that's connected, something that feels like, hey, when you're squatting this heavy weight, dad's got you. I'm your support. You're helping. I'm helping you. And then vice versa. When I go to do this weight, you're helping dad. So it's like this big time team approach, high-fiving each other between sets, that kind of thing. Yeah. As you guys take me through these questions, I'm like getting super excited, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's what's on my mind.
Well, that's what the process is really meant to do. You know, obviously we enjoy doing it live, but the book, hopefully, if a person commits to it, they'll have that experience, somewhat that experience. And one of the things that we really make a pretty large case for, and that people don't do, is really connect, share your intentions with people. So that's the next thing that I'm going to suggest. Action is that you share, you know, after you've had a chance to kind of work this some more. Those are absolutely beautiful things. Those are, you have filled out without a question how you will have a meaningful, fulfilling experience over the next 3 months with the Bigs and the rest of the family, and the likelihood that they will remember that, you know, that for the rest of their lives. And they've had a lot of that from you already based upon what you've said. So, you know, that, you know, you already have those things there. It's just a matter of us kind of helping you think about them in a little different way from that positive standpoint. Because here you are probably, I'm sure, one of the most positive guys that are out there, but how easy it is to just start down the other, you know, kind of the other track. But back to the thing about sharing. So I would say share this with your, you know, with your kids, you know, talk to them about the experience that you see having with them over the next 3 months. Be vulnerable, be open, because, you know, they may have a little different spin on that and may give you different feedback, but just to, you know, start from that place of authenticity, you know, genuineness. This is the experience I want to have. You know, even say, I'm throwing out some ideas. You know, we don't go to say, be able to tell our friends that we sat in the front row, you know, of a Coldplay concert. We don't, you know, that's not our gig. Our gig is that we're going to sit there, and when we walk out, our minds are going to be blown that we were all sitting together, moving our asses in the chairs and the whole thing. Right. So, you know, that's a real important part of it. And I'm actually become a champion now of this thing called the birthday wish.
Oh, what's that?
So, you know, everybody, when it's their birthday and they set the cake in front of them with however many candles. Now they can't put all the candles for me, but now I get the one big candle. But anyway, they set the candle, right? And everybody says, okay, make a wish. And you can see that person, you know, sometimes people consternate, you know, oh man, oh no, it's time to blow the candles. Oh, I'm still making my wish. You know, I'm really trying to think about something, right? And then what do people say after they blow out the candles? Don't share your wish.
Yeah, don't. Yeah.
And I say, wait a minute. I'm the guy in the room that says, hold on, wait a minute. You right now have all the people around you that love and support you and would probably do whatever you ask them to help make that wish come true. Why not share it?
Yeah.
So that's the other part of this, you know, sharing that intention even with some of your other friends will help to make it, you'll keep fine tuning it and figuring it out.
So cool, man.
And
go ahead.
Just to kind of, you know, put a bow on that, you know, intention for the summer. I think it'd be great if you could just try and summarize the intention in a sentence or two. That is, you know, positive, written from the positive for sure, is specific and engaging, and is maybe, you know, like a little bit of a stretch, like really into what your dream of this is, you know, but it's still attainable, but is a little bit of stretch of exactly where you'd like to be. And then from there, once you kind of create that, think about how the other people that are involved, your family, could help you along this and work together to make it happen.
You got my mind whirling, man. I'm definitely I'm actually taking my littles, which is the one who's right next to me here. fishing today, and you've definitely given me some beautiful things to think about as we're throwing some lines in. Yeah, we're gonna go in a minute.
Okay.
But this has really been incredible for even just me personally. I want to make sure that the audience can find you guys, the book, and if they want more, if they want to connect with you and what that really looks like.
Yeah, totally. So the book is available on Amazon, but the easiest way to find it is thefisnext.com, thefisnext.com. And, this podcast is going to be coming out, I think, around Father's Day. And so for Father's Day, we're going to be offering it, the Kindle version for just 99 cents, because we just want to, people to be able to, get it as easily as possible and just, get into this work. So yeah, if you're listening now, it'll be 99 cents around Father's Day.
Guys, good news, because Father's Day is on Sunday as you're listening to this podcast. If this is our Fierce Friday on June 16th. So
Nice.
all you guys have to do is, we'll have all the links in the show notes for you, for the Amazon link, for the Kindle link. Also, thefisnext.com we'll have that in there as well. Also, all the social handles, LinkedIn, YouTube, as well as Instagram, everything for Colton and David. Head on over to thedadedge.com/Friday108. Again, thedadedge.com/Friday108. And happy Father's Day weekend. Colton, David, thank you so much for coming on today. This was awesome for not only the audience, but for me personally. So thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
I've had a really fun time.
Awesome. And I hope you guys have a great time in Hawaii and fishing. It's going to be an awesome summer.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. And thank you, David.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye for now, gentlemen. Go out, live legendary. Take care.